I'm ready.
Welcome back to the Game Garage. I'm Bodie, he's Sam, and we got to do our top 10. This is the thing.
We talked about it a long time ago. Like,
Yeah,
what could we do? We could do a top 10 video.
In our thinking, who cares about what we think on our top 10?
Then you did a survey.
Yeah, because they're trendy. You gotta be trendy. I did a survey, and so that definitely won out.
How do you come up with the games you want? Because mine started off with about, 40 games. Narrowed it down to 34. I was pretty excited. And then, this is a hard thing to figure out.
Yeah, I wasn't really sure what to do. Like, I've made a top 10 list before, but for one, no one was going to look at it, so I wasn't going to be judged for my choices. And for two, I usually did it in like 5 minutes. I was like, these are the 10 games I've recently been playing that I really like. But when it really comes down to like, top 10 of all time, like this is the game.
This is an all-time list, not just top 10 party, top 10, social deduction, top 10 strategy. This is
the top of all time for us, and to make that choice, that was hard.
Obviously, it can change with the next game we play.
Yeah, that's the thing, is it's constantly in flux. And there are times where I've only played a game like once, and yet it's still like, that's probably a top 10. That's because I just had so much fun with it.
Yeah.
So for this one, kind of the primary qualification criteria for me was when I think about that game, when I think about when you're trying to figure out what game to play, am I just excited to play it? Like when I think through the mechanics of it, is there something in there that's unique, that's different, that I can't get anywhere else? Or maybe that you can get other places, but it's just so good in this game.
I'm surprised how many on my list are not in my top 10 playtimes.
And the most plays.
Yeah, the most played, because what's missing on this list are a whole bunch of those filler games, those games for new people. I enjoy them, but it's probably other people enjoy them more than I do. And so I play them a ton, am known to play them a bunch, but they really didn't make this list. And I think that's a whole nother video.
I feel like the whole board game kind of hobby in general is a lot of you trying to convince other people to play games with you. And so you're looking for small games that you can get people into, and you're kind of hoping they would play bigger ones.
But then you're going to see a game here. I'm going to start off with a game that's going to end up being like,
see what your first one is.
No, you just said you didn't do filler games. But it goes back to what you were saying. I enjoy that game so much. It's just fun to play. So I think one of you said it in one of your comments. I'm stuck on a desert island with 3 other people who play games.
And these are the ones.
These are the 10 that I would want to bring to the table. So I was after actually a little bit of variety too, because I'm like, okay, I want to play that one, but after I've played that one 17 times, then I want to play this different one that has a different flavor to it.
Just as a side note, it is hot. We're just getting into summer. We tried to start early this morning.
Right, we tried to beat the
heat. But it took us a long time to get set up. My coffee got cold, and I am now sweating. So we're going to be glistening.
So
we're
working hard today. We're working hard.
YouTube is hard.
Honorable mention. You got anything that you want to just kick out there before we get started?
For sure. Root. I love Root. I've played it only 3 or 4 times. Really enjoyed it. I just can't put it on my top 10 yet. For one, I don't have a group that will play often. You need kind of a set of 4 people. You've played once or twice.
Oh, yeah,
and I don't know if it's his favorite yet. I think we're still...
I like it.
Not in my top 10, but it was on my top 10 for a little bit this week, and then it got bumped off.
Honorable mention for me is Tournament at Camelot. Just really like that game. I like the way that game ends and the way that it goes.
That's the trick-taking game, right?
Trick-taking game. And I've got the expansion, the new one, and I haven't played that one yet, but I really enjoy that game. Fun little game.
That little trick-taking game gets some of the biggest reactions. Like, it breaks by the end, and it's so fun.
Yeah. And then honorable mention, and you're not going to even consider it a game, but I like Super Fight. Of all things,
it's not a game.
No,
it's like a party conversation starter.
Right. But I work with young people and youth all the time, and there's probably few game structures that I've had more fun in groups of 80, groups of 6, 3 or 4 people,
I guess,
traveling on the road.
I think for me, that my problem is I've used it so much at work that it is
It's
a
not
work
a-
game.
it's not a
not
game.
a fun game. It's like I've played this so many times with large, because we run it for camp. We run it for big groups, and it is a blast. Like some of the loudest rooms I've ever been in were in super fight rooms.
It's not really
a game, though. It doesn't belong in this video.
There's no scores.
It's not supposed to be here.
Well, it's not on my list. Just
Can
an
I get?
honorable
Do
mention.
I get one more? Right?
Go ahead. Yeah, you
more,
get
okay.
one more.
Second honorable mention is Heroes of Land, Air, and Sea. It's a 4X huge strategy game, but doesn't feel that big. Everything about that game is perfect, except for the combat. I can't do it. I don't like the game of chicken. My numbers, got to add them all up in my head. You got to add up all your numbers in your head, and then it just slows everything down. I feel like that game, it clicks along at such a high pace. You're taking turns while you're following actions. You're building your empire, and then the moment we get to the halfway mark in the game and people start attacking each other's countries, dead standstill. Like, I've sat there for 30 minutes while people are picking cards, and I'm just like, this game is so fun. I don't usually love dice, but this is a situation where I would love to just chuck some dice and call it a day. I was a little passionate about that.
Yeah, games that I wish the jury's out. I think King's Dilemma, we're in the middle of that. We'll see if that makes the list. Seventh Continent, interesting one for us. God. Yeah, I know. It's just, I don't think it makes this list. I actually think my 11 through 30 list is more interesting than this list right here.
Let's start it out then.
Okay, are you first?
No, you first.
Okay.
I'm looking at yours, and I'm very curious as to why that is your top.
So,
in your 10.
number 10 on my top 10 all time, ladies and gentlemen. Fake Artist Goes to New York. There are a ton of games out there that involve drawing and all that sort of stuff. This one you don't have to be good at. I have tweaked it because here's the game right there. But I never play it like this. I end up with tiles like this or paper, Sharpies. I rework the whole game. So he talked about the deluxification of games, and that was on the survey.
That was on our poll, and a lot of people voted for that. This is one of those.
5 out of my 10 games, I don't hardly play with the box. I just add parts to it and make it work. But Fake Artist Goes to New York. Basically what you're trying to do is you and the fake artist are trying to hide in a sea of artists that all know what they're doing. And what I love about this game, the debrief at the end of the game, like did you make it or not make it? I don't like the big social deductions that take a long time. So Secret Hitler actually didn't make my list. But a game like this is quick, fast. You actually want to play it again, and it's just fun to look at all the stuff. Making a gallery of all the pictures that everybody has made, I have had more fun, just fun, with this game right here.
I'm very surprised that this is in your top 10. I would have never guessed.
Yeah.
I played this a couple times. It's a good time, but... Interesting. Yeah. All right.
That's why we're all individuals.
That's a great start. My number 10. This is controversial. Let me tell you what. Some people hate this game. Windward. I really like Windward. It has its problems, right? I hate the rule book. There are parts of the rules that are a little weird to get your head around. But it's so simple. It's kind of sandboxy. I love the theme. Everything about just flying around in a ship and taking out flying whales and then bringing them back to the port and then upgrading your ship. It's like 12-year-old me would like die to be in that universe where I could fly airships and stuff like that.
Yeah, you've got to have a good imagination to play this game, but if you have an imagination, oh man, you're just totally into
and
it.
Mechanically it is fun. Like, you're doing a little bit of politics. I'm always about any game that gives me the opportunity to politic the board. So who are we interacting with at the table? Can I convince people to not attack me or convince them to attack somebody else? Can I send them over to dad and take him out? Like, that's a ton of fun. In this game, I love the puzzle of movement, and the basics of combat are simple, and the engine build is simple. Really, it gets by on being a space pirate game. That's why I love it.
With just a little bit of luck, just the right amount of luck in that game.
Enough
I
luck
like
to
that.
be drama.
Number 9 for me is Colt Express. Colt Express. This is
another surprise.
What's that?
That's another surprise.
Another surprise to you?
I
put these
couldn't have guessed any of these. Oh, I didn't bring out Windward.
Yeah, I gotta get that. out.
Maybe we trying to do more than we can handle.
This is all getting cut.
Windward.
You got. For me, Colt Express, kind of a game where you're programming. The reason I like this one and the reason it makes the top 10 is that everybody's trying to do something, but when somebody foils your plan or it doesn't work, it doesn't feel personal. It doesn't feel like, oh, you beat me up.
It's almost like accidental, like
right,
a surprise to everyone that happens. It's like, oh,
like
it shouldn't have worked.
Cartoon comedy fun. But I also really enjoy the storyline. You really do feel like you're on a train that's just hurtling through the area and that you're trying to get on top of the train, run down, shoot. You play all of your cards. Everybody plays all their cards. Then you turn over the cards and you play them one by one and you move all the things on the board.
You know, it's like a Rupee Goldberg machine, and that's what makes it fun to me. I like when I don't have to make any more decisions at some point, and then I just got to let the game do its thing, and you're kind of just watching.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
fun.
This is another one of those ones that I'll pull out, like you were saying. I secretly enjoy really playing it. I'm not sure if everybody will play it with me, but I really do like it if we can get it out.
Big surprise again for me. I would have never guessed you'd put Colt Express on here.
Yeah.
It's a fun one. We haven't played it.
And it's very different than anything
games,
else. Yeah, anything else that I've got. So, Colt Express.
All right, number 9 for me is Everdell. I love Everdell. And one of the reasons I love Everdell is because me and my wife play this more than any other game. We've played this 4 or 5 times, which is a lot for her. She usually doesn't want to play games. She's very kind. She'll play with me sometimes. This is the one that I have. I can almost guarantee she'll play with me. The art's fantastic, and on top of that, the worker placement, the engine build, the tableau build. It's so good. The interactions between the cards are good. The expansions are decent.
2 things on this that I like. I like the fact that it rewards you when you go fast or when you go slow. There's an advantage to running through this game quickly, but there's also a huge advantage of squeezing every little bit out and being the last one kind of through the season.
It really does do a great job of pacing. They just put together a really good set of cards in here it's a pretty thick stack, and they're fun to work through.
Yeah, this one surprises me. Like, every time I get to play it, I'm like, yeah, I think I like Everdell. And then I finish playing it, like, I really like Everdell. Like, that was fun.
It's so basic. Like, if it wasn't for the artwork, I think this would get lost in the sea of a lot of other games, because it's pretty similar to a lot of games, but it did enough things different to get people to the table, and then it delivered. Not just a good theme, it delivered a good game.
Number 8 for me is the game Unmatched. And
phenomenal choice.
Yeah, the way that this one plays. I know that we've reviewed this one, and so I'm not going to belabor all the things with it. Because it's the same style, just with a different deck every time, I feel like it's a new game when I try to figure out a character and really figure out how to use that character. They did a great job putting this game together.
It feels like this Unmatched system will be around for a long time. I could already putting out more expansions for it.
It's kind of my good 2-player game. You know, when I'm looking at my list, this is the one where I really just, if you're asking me about 2 people playing, that's a fun one.
My number 8, we're moving decently fast.
Yeah, we're going okay.
We're good. Okay, my number 8, this cracks me up because somebody in our comment section was mentioning this game, being kind, telling us all about it, and I couldn't help. I was like, oh man, once I saw your comment, I was super excited, and I really just wanted to talk with you in person because Aeon's End, I love. In fact, I'm sitting here going, why is this number 8? Like this feels like I should have had this higher on my list. Aeon's End is so fun. I have had just a blast with Aeon's End. And again, this is another one that I can get Ember to play. I can get my wife to play. Her and I, like, never before has she played a game for 4 hours. And she played this 4 hours, and we played the entire, it's got a little campaign in here. This is New Age. I'm looking to get the other, there's tons of expansions out there. I love the system. I love the deck building, and you're fighting big monsters. Asymmetric powers of the different characters is there. And I always think to myself, I should play Aeon's End. And I'm like, not super excited about it. But then when I set it up and I start playing, I'm like, I remember. This is so good. And you can't even remember playing it.
I played it once, and I don't remember, and I'm like, might not even make my top 200. I don't remember it that well.
It's pretty awesome. This feels like a game when you meet somebody that really likes it, they really like it. Highly recommend it if you enjoy deck building, and you enjoy cooperatives, and you enjoy kind of a simple game with a lot of in-depth strategy.
It's interesting to me to make top 10 lists because I see some of these that have made it, and I see that my first 1 or 2 plays were really
good.
fun. Yeah. Like it was
The
just
first impression was so good.
right that I'm like, oh man, that was a really fun game. And I think there are some really good games out there that because of the evening, because of the other things going on, because of the who you're playing with or whatever, it just didn't quite.
Yeah, if you're like end of the night and you're tired and then
Right.
you pull out something
And you're like, oh, I can't remember. Yeah, good game.
This one, Aeon's End, highly recommend it.
Number 7.
You didn't number yours.
I
No one's going to
didn't,
know anything.
But see, now I know. See, you numbered
I
for
numbered
both
them
sides, right? So
we planned that.
number 7 for me is Great Western Trail. For me, the big buy on this, the reason that I like this game is this is like a big game. It's got all kinds of things going on. But when you're in the midst of the game, he's done a great job of putting you in a spot where you have a decision to make between this or this. That's probably why I like this one more than the Mombasa was hard for me to figure out. Okay, so Maracaibo, Mombasa, Great Western Trail are all
Pfister.
Yeah, Pfister. But this one for me, he narrows down the choices. Some of the other ones, well, you can go all over. You've got a lot of choices there that are available. But he made this one to me simpler because I have a ton of choices to make, but at this moment, just one choice.
Yeah, it's like he takes the Euro lot going on, a lot of mechanics, and he boils it down. Your turn becomes very simple. Now, the ramifications of those two choices, they kind of knock over all these dominoes that affect all the other parts of the game. But instead of having to micromanage all the other parts of the game, I manage my two choices, and I allow those to impact the rest of the game. And so you really playing a Pfister game well is all about figuring out what dominoes knock what dominoes over. I've got more to say about Pfister, but we'll have to wait till later in the list.
I lose this one often, though. I rarely win this game.
Oh, I thought you meant lose the box.
No.
I was like, you lost the game. You can't find it?
Like, I like the game, but I lose it quite often. Where are you going with all your games? See, you have
I've got a chair. You got to get yourself a chair.
I don't have anything. Like, I'm going on the ground right there.
Got more chairs. What are we moving on to?
Number 7.
Number 7, wow. Oh, yes. This one, kind of a surprise. This is an old game. This is a fairly popular game. A lot of people have played this, but I've not seen it on very many people's top 10s. That is Bonanza. Now, I hesitated to put Bonanza on my list, and partly because I'm getting close to tired of it, but I always have a blast. A lot of it comes down to the fact that I have a dedicated group. There are 4 or 5 of my friends that when we get together, that's all we're going to do. You guys ready to bean swap? Let's bean swap.
Well, see, now your Bonanza is like my Fake Artist Goes to New York.
I guess that's true.
You know,
but Bonanza's more of a game than Fake Artist Goes to New York. Let's be honest.
That's probably true.
If you're not familiar with Bonanza, it is bean trading, and you're planting beans, and then you uproot them to gain coins. And my goodness, how fun! It's so fun. Like, I regularly get into yelling matches in this game where everyone at the table is trying to get one person to make one trade, and they're all like trying to up the ante of like, oh, I'll offer you this and I'll offer you this, and before you know it, the person is so overwhelmed they just take whatever trade. They don't even know what they're trading anymore. They're just chucking beans out. It just devolves into absolute chaos.
So that's your number 7. So you go Windward, Sandboxy, Everdale, Deeper Game, Deeper Game, and then
we just shoot Bonanza. But surprisingly, there's a bit of strategy
it's like the
here.
present day pit. Well, not quite that. You're not yelling, right?
In this, there's yelling. If you're playing with the right group, you will be yelling in Bonanza. You just can't take it seriously. If you take it too seriously, I don't think it's as fun. I like playing in a world where people are donating beans out of spite.
Just to hurt the other guy.
Like, it is a game about trading dumb trades, and I love it.
I really thought the game that was going to fit this for you was Good Critters. I thought
that's one of my honorable mentions. An honorable mention that I never mentioned was Good Critters. I don't think that one's as robust of an experience.
Yeah. I just thought that was going to be the one
that was
really
like
good that on your list. It's crazy. So far, we have not crossed over. I mean, I thought, okay, our top 10 list, like 7 out of 10
well,
are
we
going to
play
be the
so
same.
many games together that we like.
I know, and so far we are just...
Well, it's because you came out of left field with Fake Artist Goes to New York and Colt Express, like 2 games that are just kind of like Maybe top 100. Maybe.
I like them. I really do.
I understand.
Okay, here we go. Number 6 is Robinson
There it is.
Crusoe. This, I think, is my only cooperative on the board so far. I like it because it's hard. I like it because it's deep. I like their scenarios. If I'm going to pack something, Sydney and I are going on vacation, and I just want to play something for a couple of hours, this is the game that I bring along. The story comes out, you know, as the cards are flipping over. There's a luck element in a sense that I made some decisions that put some bad things in my deck, and I know they're coming up, but I hope they don't come up this next time. When you finish a round, you just want to start another one. Really moves me quickly.
I don't know how he managed to make it balance so well to make you always feel like you're just about to die.
Just
like
on the edge of
You're
death.
just on the edge of failure the entire time. Everything feels impossible, and then you just barely squeak by. Something good happens, and you pull it out. It is brutal in that sense, but it is so fun.
Like on day 2, you think you're about to die, and then day 8, you're about to die. Like, he keeps you on that razor's edge the entire time. Really, like Robinson Crusoe.
This is my number 6, Memoir 44. Been around for a little while. Really odd one for me to put on my list. It's not really like most of my games. You've got a bunch of cards, right? You draw them out, you've got them in front of you, and you can only choose 1 or 2 of them to play. And they allow you to play different parts of the board. So they divided the board up into like 3 sections. And what's so fun about it is instead of being able to control the whole board at all times, you are relegated to whatever you draw. So if I only draw cards that affect the right side of the board, all my troops on the left side, good luck, guys. Have fun. Like, I can't do anything about it. He might have all left side of the board cards, and he might be just marching right up the left side, but I am required to play what's in front of me, and somehow I've got to take 3 cards that don't make sense for my strategy, and I've got to make them work for my strategy. And it's that tactical lack of control that's really fun to me.
One of the fun things of this one is because you have those cards that are affecting, you're kind of holding back 1 or 2. So I'm always looking at his cards, and he may be thinking to myself, this is just a dog hand. Like, I cannot get out of this hole. But in my mind, I'm thinking to myself, he is setting me up. Like, he is just piling up this run that is just going to wipe me out. And that's, to me, is what's fun here, is that you can kind of hold some cards for what you were planning to do. A little bit like Unmatched, where if you use all of your good cards
that's actually
the moment you found it, you probably aren't playing it right. You've got to weaken the guy a little bit, but get the setup where you can, win the game.
I gravitate towards games that don't have perfect information. What happens with perfect information is it becomes my brain versus your brain.
Yeah, chess.
And I don't enjoy that. Like, my brain will lose.
You need you and a little bit of luck.
Yeah, I want that luck element. Neither of us know exactly what's going to happen. Number 1, that's better storytelling. And number 2, I have more fun because the game starts deciding who wins and loses. And I get why that's frustrating. I see the frustration. But I also have more fun because it's less about who's better and smarter, and it's more about what happens in the story. That's Memoir 44. That brings us into our top 5.
Yeah, top 5. Now,
And I'm also out of coffee, which is truly
I'm doing
unfortunate.
okay on the Pepsi. I got half a cup. I've paced myself well.
I clearly did not.
Okay, I'm going to share a game here, number 5. I know that I don't even know
that's
if
a
you
weird
can
one.
find this game. And I know that's going to frustrate some. There is a re-implementation. My number 5 is the game New Heimat.
This is another surprise to me, and we haven't played this board version.
No, in a
In
long
years,
long
probably.
time. Made in Germany or something like that. Yeah, it's got just this weird, it's got kind of a bag of different things and stuff like that. So it's been re-implemented, and I believe you can get it on Amazon now as The Estates. I think is the.
Did they reskin it?
Yeah, they reskinned it, and it's the same game. But here's what I like on this game. Now, it is a game that you are playing against the other players, and you are bidding. I like bidding games in general. The bidding here is that I have to bid every time. Like, if I let somebody have it for cheap, then I'm going to lose this game. So I have to manage my money really well. And the hidden money management part of this is just really fun. Now, I've rebuilt the entire game, reskinned the entire thing. We call it Ghost Town.
I think I'll throw a picture in here because you don't get a full grasp of it until you see the picture. Like, we play it on 3 or 4 tables put together. We play it with 60 people in the room.
The board is like six tables put together. Is the
like
board?
That. And you've got teams. You've got like 5 teams of 10 or something like that. Everyone gets a job that you're in charge of. It's crazy. There's some odd mechanics that I'm actually surprised I haven't seen elsewhere. Now, I haven't played a lot of bidding games, so maybe they are being implemented elsewhere, but it feels like kind of a one-of-a-kind game that's done unique.
Yeah, what he's talking about there is that I'm picking the item that is up for bid. So I get the money that's the result of that. So I have to pick an item that I think everybody wants, but then I have the ability to buy that out, and they have the ability to take it. So I have to...
I feel like that's been used somewhere. I can't think of a game. There's probably a game that's
There's
done
other
that.
games out there like that, but this is just a very, very straightforward game.
Getting into my number 6 here.
No, 5.
Number 5.
Yeah.
This is another Alexander Pfister game. This is Maracaibo. I really enjoy Maracaibo. And it's one of those games that I did not like the first time I played because I got absolutely destroyed. Not until my 4th or 5th time playing that I finally went, oh, I think I understand. Alexander Pfister, I really enjoy how he implements so many different mechanics. And I always feel like he does something interesting with the mechanics.
Is this your only Pfister game on your top 10?
This is my only Pfister game
Yeah.
on.
So why do you like this one more than the other ones?
It's hard to say. So Great Western Trails, I haven't played near as much as Maracaibo. So I feel like if I'd played Great Western Trails more often, I would put Great Western Trails in this spot. And they almost feel interchangeable. The difference is this has a rondelle. Great Western Trails also, so that's not a difference. They both have rondelles. They're both, you're moving around, you're doing actions at different places. I really enjoy the kind of the cattle gathering part of Great Western Trails, but this one's, it feels, I can't really put my finger on why I've enjoyed this one more. And maybe it's because I played this solo and I've played this 3 or 4 times. I'm working through, he's got a campaign that starts messing with the board, and the way it messes with the board is just brilliant. Story is barely there, but the board changing is just so fun. And the solo on this is like kinetic. Once you understand how the bot works, once you understand how your turn works, you can move through games of this really fast. I'm quickly making these decisions that have costs, and I know that I'm going to not be able to optimize perfectly, but I think I can beat that score, and I'm having to ditch things that I wish I could do, but the only way I'm going to beat the bot is if I target this and spread out. All that to say, I basically can't explain to you why I love this game. You got to go try it to really understand it.
I do. I like this game. For me, Great Western Trail beats it out, but I believe that you've got more of a multiple choice on your turn instead of just a choice between 2.
I think what makes this so hard is it's really hard to understand how to win. The choices you're making, the real winning of the game doesn't necessarily happen in front of you. It happens with the influence track. Now, you can win by collecting enough cards that get you lots of points, and that's a viable strategy. But most of the time when I see people play, they win by getting the nations. You can affect these 3 nations, similar to Mombasa, where you're not directly controlling them, but you can all influence them.
So you have to change your strategy based on what other people are doing then.
I did a terrible job of pitching this game, so find somebody that pitches it better than me.
But it's your number 5.
I know.
My number 4 is Board Royale, and early on review, Board Royale is a game where you're pulling cards. That's your life, and it's basically last man standing or first guy who escapes. I mean, that's what
Really
this game
simple.
boils down to. What I like about this one more than some is the way that it just comes to a final close. The way you expect a movie or a book to have a final chapter that's like, oh, that's the best chapter of the whole book. This has the very best part of the whole game is the last 5 or 10 minutes.
I think what keeps this one off my top 10, because I really enjoy this, is the player elimination can be brutal.
Yeah.
Once you're eliminated, you're out of the game. Now, there's enough going on that's interesting that it's fun to stick around and watch the end, but you can get eliminated pretty early and then you're out.
Yeah.
And there's another game on our top 10 here that's going to be near the top that does the same thing, but I have more fun with it.
Yeah, and that's where you're starting to see here on my top 10 list. You're starting to see what I like coming out because
He likes to be mean.
Yeah, you're beating on people here. You're killing somebody here. You're trying to survive here. You're messing up somebody's game. I really do like a game that plays against the other players at the table, and so I know that that's not everybody's thing, and sometimes that gets too personal for people, and they're like, I didn't enjoy that because I play hard. I mean, I definitely play to win, and people are like, that was mean. And I'm like, well, I was trying to win the game. Board Royale, for me, they're just coming out with their new expansion. Looking forward to playing that.
All right, my number 4, we've already talked about it. Not going to talk about it too much more. Robinson Crusoe.
Ooh, our first. This is our first one.
Crossover. Wow. I brought my copy as well. This is one of the few games where we both own a copy. Most of the time, we just own one copy because we borrow each other's. The solo is so good. Both of us are going to take this on a trip if we go somewhere, so we know that when vacation hits, which we're in the middle of right now, we both want our own copy because we may end up pulling it out and playing through it ourselves. It's just so good. The decisions are great. The story is great. The drama is great, and it's addictive. Like, you just keep wanting to take the next turn.
I haven't seen your top 3, but I'm guessing we'll have some more.
It's going to be a little more crossover.
Yeah. My number 3, I don't know if yours is there. My number 3 is Moonrakers. This is the first game that we reviewed on our channel. And it's true. Obvious.
Yeah, if you go watch that.
Right. The early days
a little rough.
of the Game Garage. In some ways, I'm like, I wish we would have reviewed this after we've done it.
It almost feels like we want to do it more justice than what we
Right.
did.
We played it a whole bunch of times at that time. I just like the cooperativeness at the beginning and then the push your luck at the end. I love the strategy in this game that you're able to try to put together, some objective cards, and that your ship has really become strong. They probably, more than any other kind of engine building, deck building game, I feel like I'm running from the start. Yeah. They just have good cards at good prices. You know how in some games you're like, oh man, I'll never be able to buy that until like the final 10 minutes of the game.
It's like the most fun you'll have is in the last 10 minutes when your engine works.
Yeah, when finally you have gold and all that. That's not the way it is in Moonrakers, and I am very excited about some of their expansions that they're working through.
We're working on playing those here soon, and we'll probably talk about them in the future. Yeah. Moonrakers has a similar mechanic that Windward has. It has that instant win when you hit a number. What makes that work so well is it creates kind of a baked-in adrenaline rush at that last turn. You don't know that's the last turn. So most things like a Fister game, you know it's the last turn. Like, this is the final round of everyone playing. And so, yes, that creates interesting decisions. But this, you're close. Everyone's within 3 or 4 points of winning. It just creates a tension that games without that can't do.
Yeah, and it's because of that push your luck.
Yeah.
You know that I don't think this is coming around to me again. I've got to give it a whirl. It's like a Hail Mary before I even needed to throw a Hail Mary, and then I'm trying for it. This is the game that you can't lose your first couple of rounds because you're all playing together. Anybody who gets real strong, everybody else kind of knocks down. And so that's one of the reasons this is probably my go-to game for somebody who's like, I like games, but I want to try something new. Like they're kind of into games, but they really want to try one that's deep. This has probably been the game that people have gone out and spent money on after they played.
One of the reasons that I haven't gotten it to my top 10 is it's pretty dependent on your group.
Yes.
And I've played this once or twice with different groups, and the negotiation, you want everybody negotiating at the highest caliber they can.
Yeah.
And that's
one player controlled by another player. Yeah. Like, oh, you're my best friend. I'll just keep helping you.
Do things for me.
Boy, that's not gonna work. That's my number 3.
Wow, not a crossover here. For me, it's Gloomhaven, Jaws of the Lion. What hasn't already been said about Gloomhaven that I'm gonna say, so I won't even try, beyond saying that I just have a good time with it. And I understand that some people think it's a little overrated, and I think maybe they're right. I've heard people talk about, like, oh, I kind of wish there was only one entry on the top. Like, we've got so many Gloomhavens now, or there's 2, but they're both on the top 100, and we wish we could make space for better games or more games. There's just a reason it's in the top 100. It's just a great system. It's a perfect puzzle with good storytelling and fun decisions.
And I will say that I think that he probably packs more game into this box than anybody else. Anybody else
There's
does.
a ton of content here.
Yeah.
And unique. Like, it doesn't get old. And that's the crazy part, is he just keeps it fresh.
Yeah.
And he keeps your character, power creep. The concept of your character getting too powerful too soon, or suddenly you're so powerful nothing is hard. This does power management so well. You always are just like Robinson Crusoe, where you're just kind of barely there, barely surviving, but you still feel like you're getting better. People have said so much about Gloomhaven, I won't say anymore.
I like to level up too. That's really fun. My number 2.
Oh, this is crossover.
Are we crossover? Are we the same?
Yeah.
Okay,
It's
here we
not for
go.
number 2. It's
Number 2, both of us together.
well, technically.
Did you?
Yeah, I've
switch?
actually in a different order.
Okay, no.
Well, here, I'll put it in. This is my number 1. And here's why I'm going to do this. My number 1 and 2 could go either way. I could put it at number 2 or number 1. Wouldn't matter to me. They are both my number 1. So I'll just put it here.
So these two games we have played more than any other game. More playthroughs.
Not even close to any other
over a decade or more of time.
This was one of the first games we played together, or like one of the early on games we played together.
Okay, here's the game.
Get your glasses out.
This is crazy because I don't think it's in print anymore. I have 6 copies in shrink wrap right now. Bodie will leave a link to
somewhere in the description.
Yeah.
Just made a website, kind of just playing around with it, so it's pretty rough. Don't judge.
And I know that we're going to end up, we're going to sell these games with the expansions. We'll put a little package together for what we have. Needs just a little bit of
it needs a lot of explanation.
So there's all your pieces. Okay.
There's not even enough pieces here. So
right.
if you buy this game, know that
even work.
It's broken from the box. Not like broken. You can fix it, but it's not complete.
You're buying it for the cards. You're basically on a boat. There's a whole bunch of you. You're either fighting for the front of the boat because that's you're getting the best provisions, or you're fighting for the back of the boat because that's who you can decide who gets hurt.
Well, yeah, the back of the boat, you control
your navigation.
A lot of what happens in the boat.
You're trying to keep the person that you want alive. You're trying to kill the person that you hate, so you get more points that way. Any character can win the game, but there's no known end. So you've got to try to end the game when you're most powerful, because you'll only be the most powerful for a short amount of time.
Because the moment you are powerful, everybody on the ship knows it. There's like no way to hide it. Like you clearly have the most weapons, you have the most cards, you probably have the most points. Everybody wants to take you out.
So now you're playing one versus everybody. If you kill too many people, you're in danger of a psychopath just winning the whole thing. So you can't kill everybody. You just want to kill the one that you
And then
hate.
At some point, there's somebody in there that loves themselves, and they become a narcissist. And if you're a narcissist, you get double points for your survival.
For your own life.
So there might be somebody just sitting in the middle of the boat doing nothing. And you're like, why are they doing nothing?
Right. If you're the kid, you know, 9 points for life, and you're a narcissist, you have 18 points. You really only need 3 or 4 more points, and you win the game.
It's so hard for us to explain why this is such a fun game. Because here's a way to understand.
Pull this up. And then
we've showed this on the channel before.
So this is lifeboats. So just go, pull away.
So game deluxification. This is the game that we deluxified the most. We being Dad.
Okay, so this part right here becomes the boat.
So that's your game board now.
That's your game board now. And these are all the parts that go with it. And then these are all the... Yeah, so there's the board.
This is another copy.
There's the copy.
I think between us we have like 3 or 4 copies.
Yeah, we have a couple of copies. And so then these are all the pieces that you need.
Expansion cards.
These are all the things that help us remember things that are in the rule. And then this is the stuff.
So that bag, we replaced it with all this.
Right, those are all the kills and all that stuff. So
you'll get the same experience out of the box.
Yeah.
But if you take the time to deluxify it, and we'll make a video.
We'll have to review it and get it all set to go.
If you deluxify it, it can become one of the greatest. Like, this is a crowd pleaser. Every time we pull this out, number one, because it's such a giant thing now, and we've got all these. Everyone's like, "Whoa, you got all these things in the box." It's just cool to pull it all out. And when you show up to a party with this, everybody wants to play it. It's an 1.5 to 2 hour game that is primarily built on politics.
When I go to bed at night after playing the game, I replay it. I'm like, I should have done that.
Yep.
Oh,
there's all these points in the game. You're like, if I had just
if I could have just made that happen.
Like the debrief, we end up spending 30 minutes just talking about what happened.
You actually have almost two strategies. You have a strategy that gets you to a point where the game's almost over, and then you have that strategy that this is the way I'm going to win. And this game, more than anything else, about halfway through, I can totally change my strategy and possibly pull it off, and you've got to be willing to think that way. If you just get stuck with your first one, you're toast.
Player interaction, the politics, just the mess of who's actually winning. There's just nothing like it. It is unique.
So you play with 6 right out of the box. You can play with up to 8.
I highly recommend the expansions.
Yeah, I really like playing 7 and 8. Really fun. There are moments where everybody is fighting on the boat. I've just never seen the same game twice. We'll have to review the game, but the worst part right now is that it is out of print. And like on eBay, it's got, I don't know, 80, 90
There's
bucks.
no one's done a reprint. It's not getting reskinned that we know of anytime soon.
It's got a re-implementation that's a little bit similar, but I still like Lifeboats better than the others. The rules are really, it's just a one-page thing
piece
on
of
the
paper
rules.
that's all filled
For us, we've just been playing it for years and years, all ages, different groups. Fun little game. Okay, let's get rid of all this mess right here. Okay, well,
this is a definite crossover
that
for
was
us.
another crossover by the name of Crossroads.
This is a little odd. I feel a little weird for this. The more I think about this, the weirder it gets. This is a game we designed, okay? And so there's a definite bias there, right? There's a definite obviously you like your game because you made it. But it really is our favorite game. We have had the most fun playing and designing and modifying and improving this game. It takes the cake. And the reason it probably is our number one is because we designed it with all the mechanics we like.
Bodie didn't care for a whole bunch of math.
I don't want to have to keep all these numbers in my head, and
Right.
if I need a calculator to score, then I'm just not as interested.
Yeah, and I don't like a whole bunch of dice. I don't like just rolling. Now, I would like to play Too Many Bones, but
I haven't played that yet.
I didn't want it just based on that. So we started trying to put together a game that we would like. The reason that it made it to number one for me is because every time I play it with other people, the story that is told, it is so intuitive. I really enjoy games where you explain a few things and you play, and so maybe 10, 12 minutes of explanation.
Explanation so fast.
Yeah, and then they're ready to go. You can't lose it in the first round or in the first little thing. People kind of understand what's going on, and they just get into it. And I get into it. It's a really fun game.
We've made a quick video, a short little kind of trailer. Essentially, you're 3 cowboys or Indians. We've got a bunch of...
Yeah, that's everything in the back behind us. Is
you get
all
3
that
characters, and you set them all up on your fort, and you're trying to get the gem that's in the center of the board, and you got to bring it back to your base.
That's it.
The mechanics that allow you to do that, you get a chain, and you can move that chain, and wherever the chain goes, you go. It removes all the having to remember any rule. Because it's true miniatures, because there's buildings, if I can reach my chain up on top of the building, my character can go there. If my character can balance, his chain went there, he can shoot from up there.
Well, and this was when we were designing this game. We didn't realize that when a game says it's a miniature game, I just assumed it was full miniature.
Everything had to be in there.
No, all that meant was that it has miniatures in it. When we built our game, it was to scale.
It's probably what made it work for us so well is but when we started designing it, we hadn't actually played hardly any games. We were just starting to get in the hobby, and so we weren't kind of bogged down by the mechanics we knew. We just went with, well, this seems logical and simple. Let's try
that sounds
this.
fun. And then the balance of the game is probably something that we have been playing around with for years, changing the cards and tweaking it. So the play test for us is part of the fun. Every time we get some character that's too strong, we would just make up another.
We just kind of real-time house rule it and
then made that into the games. I think the worst part about a top 10 and then putting this up here is that nobody can get that game. You can't buy that game. You're well, you're talking about a game that you made up. But we are making an effort trying to make it something that is more of a do-it-yourself game.
Yeah, kind of a print and play, do-it-yourself, similar to Gaslands.
A rule book, some cards, but then you collect all the pieces and make it your own game. We have just enjoyed it so much. Probably another thing that I really like about it is because basically if you can play the simple game, just the 3-on-3, and then they have a few powers. But then we normally put in somewhere between 10 and 12 combinations of either relics or the store or the town characters. So when you add those 12 components, that makes a totally different game. Because there are, I don't know, 20 or 30 components of each of those. There are combinations we've never played. Yeah. And that has that cosmic encounter where all of a sudden you put that combination with that combination. Yeah. Oh man, I never played that game before.
The mechanics are fun. The tension of everyone at the table. There's a lot of table talk because, again, it's very similar to some of the other games we've mentioned where you're trying to convince other people to fight with you and you have to get powerful at the right time. So at some point, somebody has to make a run for the center.
Yes.
And you only make a run for the center when you think you have enough gathered items and weapons to survive. And rarely does the first person who runs makes it. The problem is we've seen it work, and so the temptation is still there. You're always like, I think I can make it. I think I can make it. I'm going to run. I'm going to do it. And then before the moment there's somebody in the center of the board, everyone turns their guns towards them and starts shooting.
I believe we're a year and a half off probably. It's just going to take us some time. I think this is great father-son kind of stuff. I mean, that's kind of where we got started with it. It's a simple enough game that young kids can play it.
We need to do a better video to do it justice, but for now
we'll need to do videos on both of these things. This has been a fun list. I'm surprised that we had so few
crossovers.
Did we only cross over, right? Okay, Robinson Crusoe, and then these two. So 7 of 10 were all brand new. I thought we would have a lot more than that. And I am kind of interested in the whole 11 through 20.
There you go. That is our top 10. That's going to wrap it for this video. Hope you enjoyed. Hope you had a good time. Hopefully you learned about a game that you've never heard before and you're interested in maybe picking it up. Thanks for watching.
The Game Garage.